Good afternoon, Raja. Thanks for making some time to jump on a call today and talk about everything from remote work, Lebanon labor market. How do we crack the nut and get tons of people working in Lebanon? How do we use technology? The role of sort of, I guess, expats in pushing this along. And maybe even beyond expats, what's the role of others as well to help get the Lebanese back to work after the economic collapse in the last, whatever, 5, 6, 7 years. And then, of course, at the end, looking forward to talking about your projects, some of your special projects, if you'd like to share. You got to stay, if you're watching this video, stay till the end, because yeah, Raja's got some really amazing projects that he's been working on that are in the agro tourism and ecotourism niche. Um, so you're in Lebanon, and it's a few months in here after the region kind of flared up. But how are things economically? How's labor in Lebanon doing right now, Raja, from your vantage point?
George, Lebanon is a country of amazing resilience and amazing survivability, let's put it this way, but it doesn't mean it's doing well. You
Yep.
get the impression it's doing well. You get the impression there is activity, economic activity, but the reality is that people are suffering all over, and the job market is poor, salaries are low, cost of living is high. There's a lot of appearances that make you believe that things are not too bad, but this is concentrated in a very few areas and a very small percentage of the population. So really cannot be taken for granted.
Yeah, that echoes what I've heard from a few other folks that I spoke to, and I think it's part of the value proposition. Although a lot of people say to me, and say to us here, don't focus necessarily on, hey, there's great labor rates in Lebanon, simply because there's an economic, depression right now. But I keep reminding people too that there's skilled, educated, talented, ambitious people who are excited about opportunities if they can get their hands on it. They may not get the rates they dream of at the outset, but maybe they will. I don't know, but that's part of at least the value proposition, I think. But from your perspective, is the value proposition still intact, or did the situation really affect Lebanese labor? Like, are we going to be able to get out of this, you think? And how are we going to be able to get out of this?
George, it's not an easy answer. There are many, 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 many problems compounded one on top of the other: financial and economic, banking, social, demographic, a refugee crisis. There are too many things on top of each other to basically give you a yes or no answer. I mean,
Yeah.
we are finding solutions that are not necessarily healthy, they're not necessarily sustainable, but we overcome solutions, and this is what's so amazing about the Lebanese people. But that doesn't mean it's healthy. It just means that we are who we are. We're known to be extremely tough, and but the problem is not getting solved. So the banking restructuring issue, which is the biggest at hand, we have failed banks that do not have our money anymore. They basically lost our money. That is the biggest problem that we suffer from today.
Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting you touch on that, because I believe you're like you dual national, maybe even tri-national. I mean, myself, I'm out here in Canada, and I think we take for granted the importance of a functioning financial sector to facilitate trade, trade commerce, something as simple as even making purchases on credit, things like that, which in Lebanon, I know you've touched on this before, really right now is in shambles.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did a private market, just since we are on this thread, did a private market come up for this? Was it a healthy market that came up to kind of backfill some of the banking, classical banks and so forth in Lebanon, or is lending and proper financial like banking and so forth, is that just not functioning normally as a whole?
Banking sector is not functioning at all.
Yeah.
What has been up instead is the money transfer agents. So basically the cash economy, everything's happening by cash. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But there are e-wallets coming up by the hefty number and a good size, which is a sign that the Central Bank of Lebanon wants to counterbalance the importance of money transfer agents with e-wallets. So basically, you're carrying money on your smartphone, you're making payments, you're making even withdrawals from ATMs, and most of all, you're making transfers from peer-to-peer using your smartphone, which is something you already have in the US, Canada, and Europe, but something that is catching up very quickly over here because there is this a failure of banks, which makes it impossible to work through banks. So this
Yeah.
is the answer to your question.
Interesting. Very interesting. I've heard the same, if I'm not mistaken, about some underdeveloped nations, which is not certainly Lebanon's case historically, but in Africa, that we're coming up and using a lot of fintech, like you said, digital wallets, cash, and this and that, and there's other services that came up to backfill and to help move things along from a trade point of view. You know, the one thing that, I mean, again, I have great hope, promise that work in the cloud space may be a potential solution or part of the solution. I was telling someone recently, it's too bad Lebanon, years ago, and maybe I'm in the dark on this. You can correct me. You probably have a much broader insight than I do. That it's too bad that they did not develop a full-on service industry sort of cluster, one that actually was ready or capable or positioned to take advantage of the digital space, right? The cloud computing, the data science, the productivity in the cloud. So I don't know. Does Lebanon even have a from your perspective I guess a digital or service-based economy or part of it?
Well, as I said, the e-wallets are beginning to develop. They're beginning to gain ground.
Like I've heard of IT. I've heard of IT. I've heard of, some engineer.
There are outsourcing companies that will deliver software products for you on an outsourcing basis. These are gaining ground. So this is to get you to your concept of, how shall one call it? If you want to talk remote work, this is the day, a hot topic, how you outsource software development to companies in Lebanon. I set up one myself 3 years ago, and it's still running. There is demand for that. There is demand. In terms of digital economy, e-government is just beginning to catch, but very timidly. E-payments are in full throw as we speak. A lot of people are now getting accustomed to those, getting accustomed to having bank accounts on Revolut. The digital revolution in terms of digital transformation is happening. A lot of companies are going e-commerce because they know this is what will boost their sales and improve their market share. So it's a timid yes. It's not a big yes, because simply the state of the economy means you are fighting for your daily survival before you can even think of the benefits of digital, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's happening, but it's not happening as fast as it should. And on the government level, it's certainly not happening very fast, because the state of corruption is such that people just don't want to go the digital way, the blockchain way, and make room for a more transparent system.
I hear you on all counts. I saw an interesting news article about how people had adopted at some point and experimented with even cryptocurrency in the case of to bypass effectively some of the failed institutions. So it's shocking that in such a traditional, I guess, traditional or society economic sort of scenario that, yeah, people would very quickly try to embrace, things like that, cryptocurrencies to get things done.
Well, that's happening everywhere. It's not just happening in Lebanon.
Oh, yeah.
Cryptocurrencies are being used to circumvent compliance restrictions and banking, this banking heaviness of bureaucracy that, so people are using USDT to make payments now more than ever because it's just instantaneous.
Yeah.
It just appears from my wallet to your wallet, and then you go and convert it from USDT to USD at any foreign exchange office. This is exactly what a lot of companies are looking for.
Yeah.
So we are getting there in Lebanon, slowly but surely, but we are weighed back and restrained by the failure, the general failure of the economy and the banking system. Don't forget that.
And as a result, too, I mean, the thing that we take for granted, I think, at least personally, I think I take for granted is the ability to organize, capital in a very structured way so that investments actually do flow. I think of the young people. I know you're very passionate about the young generation of Lebanese who are graduated from schools, amazing universities, some of them exceptionally talented. And yeah, I mean, they need opportunities, and opportunities need investment, capital to make them, significant so that they're global or at least regional at a minimum, right? So you're passionate, I know, about, like I said, young people and the Lebanese youth. What as sort of a dual national and whatnot. I mean, I have a professions background, but how do you coach this young generation at a time like this so they don't, let go of entrepreneurship, let go of innovation, let go of how do you coach them in a direction that furthers basically a positive outcome? Like, that's a tough thing to do, but how do you do that?
That's
What's your
very tough
perspective?
thing to do. It's a very tough thing to do.
Uh-huh.
You can be present around them to impart your knowledge and experience and support them and mentor them to give them what they need to know for lack of a better system in place, and to compensate for the economy not helping. But there's a limit to that. For example, in my village of Kfarmishki, young people are leaving by droves. I agreed to help them create a coffee shop, an ice cream parlor in one of the abandoned stores, because I felt it was a way of perhaps keeping them together and giving them space and letting them hang out, and showing them that we can still find funds for projects if we have to, but give us a commitment that you will stick around, you will stay, and you will grow it as a business. And that's what happened in this specific case. But just to generalize and say you can do that every day, no, it's impossible. The young people are leaving, they're looking for opportunity. A lot of them do work for foreign employers remotely, but that doesn't nearly give them the prospects they have, because a lot of them are very capable, very educated. They know they can get managerial positions abroad and they can make much higher income. So it's a tough cookie to crack. It's not easy to say, yeah, we'll give them hope. I mean, they know that hope is being lost every day very quickly.
Yeah, someone echoed this recently. They said, well, work is sort of dignity, synonymous with dignity, and certainly opportunity is synonymous with hope. I think that's part of the mission here, is trying to, and I love the project that you just touched on, because it bypasses sort of, let's call it, traditional financing, necessarily, roots, and you're effectively crowdsourcing the necessary ingredients, pun intended. It's a cafe with an ice cream operation, but and a tourism operation, and you're doing that through crowdfunding, and you're asking communities to support it. And I think actually it's in many ways it's actually a more interesting way to finance some small businesses. Without a doubt, though, difficult. I agree with you. I think also when you touch on these small projects, so like giving them opportunities, hope. You mentioned something. You mentioned of already people who've traveled. They've gotten excellent or better opportunities abroad. Did they return? Are they able to return and work remotely in Lebanon?
No, once they're gone, they're gone. It's highly unlikely unless they fail miserably abroad, it's highly unlikely that they will return. I mean, it's
Okay.
just
So
not happening.
it is truly a make it or break it kind of moment. It's either we're going to have actually probably I don't know what the state of the flight is, if you will, but it's I'm hearing it in your voice almost. You're saying it's almost like a make it or break it moment. How would you get these people to come back if they've achieved success, material success, and other successes abroad? It'd be very difficult to lure them back. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Mm.
exactly what I'm trying to say.
Well, on the note of luring people back, okay, so I know your time's valuable and certainly our time's a bit constrained today, but luring them back, ecotourism, agritourism, this is something near and dear to your heart. And from what I've learned, and I was inspired by, I told you, I think at the outset, the chance that we were thinking similar thoughts, but you were already a few years ahead in a project, a special project. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the eco driven project, ecotourism project that you've been
Yeah.
working on?
It's very simple. I've started a lavender uh, project. I have 4 plantations at present. One of them is already producing what you call essential oils, which are beneficial, very beneficial to human health. And I've already built one lodge. So it's a bungalow that sleeps 5 people on the lavender field. We've called it the Lavender Lodge. It's facing the Mount Hermon mountain. It has an amazing setting and environment to it, and that is already on Airbnb as the Kfarmishki Lavender Lodge. We want to expand. We have land to do 4 more units, but obviously this requires much more funding. So the proof of concept has been done. The young people like it because it brings young people like them, it brings people they can mix with. They see new blood, new faces coming to the village, but it's just a proof of concept. It needs to be multiplied by 3, 4, and 5 in order to achieve scale, to do something that's really worth it. And that's exactly what we're trying to do now. We're in fundraising. However, the situation being what it is right now is not very helpful. We
Yeah.
have to postpone and wait until Lebanon is back on a little bit more stable footing.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that's a great pitch because I hope that this video garners the attention of someone who would take a closer look. Now, for those who've not been to this particular part of Lebanon or not familiar with it, even if you're from Lebanon and you haven't been, I would say it's absolutely stunning because the vista is nothing but wine, what do you call them? Vineyards, sorry, vineyards that extend way up on the mountain, and it's just absolutely stunning views. So I know this is sort of a bit of a heritage project. It's traditional land in the family and whatnot, and you've taken it and tried to turn it into something that's attractive tourism wise, to bring people to exchange ideas, to have new experiences. The village there is also very famous, from what I understand, for its agricultural products. So people can
Absolutely.
enjoy this homemade cottage industries, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the idea. That's why we call it ecotourism, because it's built with ecologically friendly materials, and agrotourism because you are surrounded by an agricultural community.
I'm not going to ask you on the call necessarily, but let's say people are interested in investing or finding a way to support the project. I don't know what the amount of capital is required to keep nurturing the vision along. Certainly, there's people out there that do have capital, love tourism, would love to be part of a beautiful story. I know you're in it for the long run. So, how do they find out about the project? Is there a website or an Instagram handle, or what would we do there?
The expansion project, no, I have a pitch deck. I'm more than happy to send it by email or through WhatsApp. I haven't yet built we have a website for the existing unit, but the expansion project, if people want to invest, that is a separate pitch deck, which I'm more than happy to send to anybody who would like to know more about it.
For sure. And for those who want to hypothetically stay, if they're traveling to Lebanon, they would find this listing, particularly on Airbnb, for the village of Kfarmishki.
Absolutely. Kfarmishki Lavender Lodge is on Airbnb. We have about 20 fantastic reviews, and that has earned me twice the status of super host. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very happy, and I'm hoping it brings more people. Problem is we have a small issue right now in south of Lebanon, which is keeping people away from the Bekaa Valley. We have to be patient, and we have to work our way around that.
Yeah, no, it will come. I know the vision is absolutely stunning. There's the views, the environment, the ambiance is not going away anytime soon. So hopefully the issues go away in due course, and then people, tourism is very resilient. People come back full on to Lebanon, enjoy tourism. So
We're hoping exactly that.
exactly. Yeah, no, it's as they say this land's been there for a very long time. So issues come and go, but the land isn't going anywhere anytime soon that we're aware of. So Raja, you're an inspiration. I have to say that. We appreciate on this end your encouragement early on, your enthusiasm for young people who want to support the vision of Lebanon as a beautiful Mediterranean country for all to enjoy. So on that note, I want to say thank you. And taking some of your time to discuss some of the issues and maybe some glimmers of hope on the horizon for opportunities. So
always, you have to always believe in hope, or else there's no point going on. So yes, we are hopeful in Lebanon. We've always been. We always manage to prevail, and we will prevail this time again.
Yeah. That's a quote for the day. I like that. There's no hope, there's no point. Yeah, I agree. That's perfect. On that note, then I guess we'll speak again soon. Okay.
Thank you, George. Thank you for your time and for your